Alright, man, the details are out about this Jay-Z rape allegation case, and the victim, and I say that loosely, decided to do an interview anonymously with NBC News. Now, why she would do that is beyond me, but to be honest, she just validated Jay-Z's claims that this is a whole crock of bullshit. This broad and Tony Busby should be under the jail because 1 + 1 = 32,000 in this case. Yep, the math ain't mathin' at all. A 13-year-old autistic white kid from Alabama was in Rochester, New York. Case already over to me, but let's continue. Autistic Annie was thousands of miles away from home. I'm assuming visiting Rochester with family, and Autistic Annie wanted to take her 13-year-old country autistic ass down to the great big city of New York. So she had a friend all the way in Rochester who conveniently happens to be dead present day, so there will be no interviews with this girl who was of legal age to drive. Now at 13, I didn't have any friends that could drive me, let alone a friend out of town that could drive me 5 hours away from a spot that I'm visiting with family. But for shits and giggles, let's continue. Somehow Autistic Annie convinced this friend to gas up the Dodge Neon and drive it 5 hours to Manhattan. The friend drops off a 13-year-old Autistic Annie by herself, and I'm assuming drove another 5 hours back to Rochester.
In addition to having autism, the woman says she suffered a head injury. The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died.
Autistic Annie shamelessly sits outside the VMAs and watches the show on the Jumbotron. Annie then walks to the limo line, and a perverted limo driver of the diddler says, "Hey, autistic white 13-year-old country girl, you look exactly like Diddy's type. He likes young girls. Do you want to come to this after party?" And she says, "Oh, shucks, I'd definitely like to attend, sir." And he says, "Well, let me drop off, Sean. Then I'll double back and get you." So Annie is ecstatic and waits forever, but the limo driver reappears to Manhattan after dropping off Diddy all the way to a New Jersey nightclub. He then takes her to what seems to be a mansion party and drops off a 13-year-old Annie by herself.
The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver, who offered her a ride to an after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver, who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, I have about his tattoo that's the Last Supper, because I have a religious background, so it was just something to talk about.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time.
She starts mingling into the party and ends up grabbing a drink that she claims was spiked with drugs from a server's tray. So now they are in on the conspiracy as well. So neither Diddy or Jay-Z gave her this drink, but Annie feels woozy and the walls are moving and she's understandably needs to lay down. So she finds a random room to go rest. Autistic Annie wakes up to the diddler forcing himself on her and Jay-Z and an unnamed female celebrity watching. Such a nightmare experience. Then Jay-Z takes his turn. She starts to fight back. Jay-Z says, "Cut the crap." The 13-year-old Annie gets loose and somehow escapes the mansion.
At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns raping her while a female celebrity watched.
JC comes in and rapes me. He at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the
So courageous! She then finds her way in the middle of a night to a random gas station, distraught and out of sorts. And an employee notices he sees a random 13-year-old girl and gives her a phone, but yet doesn't call the police. Annie calls her father to come get her. I'm assuming the father was like, damn, I didn't even know you were gone, Annie. I thought you were still here in Rochester. But okay, love, I'm on the way. So Annie sits in this gas station for 5 hours. Nobody thinks to call the cops because that's pretty normal. Daddy comes and scoops up Annie like an infant. Daddy doesn't take Annie to Olivia Benson in the SVU. He doesn't take her to the hospital. He doesn't go to the mansion to shoot shit up. He simply takes her back to Rochester, a traumatized 13-year-old country, autistic white girl thousands of miles away from home. Now NBC would talk to that father, and he essentially would say, nigga, I ain't never recall no shit like that. I would know some shit like that happened, and it didn't. That's my daughter.
After the alleged rape, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where I was.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not verify the claims. Quote, I felt like I would remember that, and I don't. I have a lot going on, but I mean, that's something that would definitely stick in my mind, he said. When we asked the woman about the contradictions in a phone interview on Friday, she said that she stands by her statement.
But yet, 38-year-old Annie is standing on it, and to me, Tony Busby is her #1 supporter. Now, Jay-Z and his lawyer, Alex Spiro, would respond to this again, and here's what they had to say. Jay-Z first. Today's investigative report proves that this attorney, Busby, filed a false complaint against me in the pursuit of money and fame. This incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in a court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory. This was over before it began. This 1-800 lawyer doesn't realize it yet, but soon. That's Sean Carter, and this is Alex Spiro. It is stunning that a lawyer would not only file such a serious complaint without proper vetting, but would make things worse by further peddling this false story in the press. We are asking the court to dismiss this frivolous case today, and will take up the matter of additional discipline for Mr. Busby and all the lawyers that filed this complaint. So as you see, the story about Annie in collaboration with her janky 1-800 lawyer, Mr. Tony Busby, just doesn't make sense. We live in a weird time where people can accuse someone of anything with no proof, and idiots on social media will drive the narrative home because they simply don't like the person, because they are black and powerful and successful, even our own kind. No proof, just accusations, but yet nail him to the cross. It's okay to wait and hear the proof and details, the victim's testimony, before making a decision, but yet people don't do that. So do you guys think that Annie was telling the truth? Do you guys think that this is a crock of bullshit? Let's talk about it below in the comments. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that comment section. Let's talk about it, baby. Boom! IG-TheLaFlareLounge.
It's him.